Hello students, welcome to the English class again. Well students, for the last few days we were doing the recapitulation of some of the chapters. We have already completed the first chapter from Flamingo, the last lesson. We have done the second chapter from Flamingo, Lost Spring. And today in this video lecture we will start with the recapitulation of one of the poem, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. Okay, so we will be seeing that which lines are very much important, which lines have repeatedly come in the exam, and what type of questions will be asked from this particular poem. Okay, now we know that in your revised syllabus already one poem has been deducted, so this poem become very important. The remaining poems and the remaining prose become very important. Okay, so let's start with the poem, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. The poet is Stephen Spender. Well students, I have already provided you with some PPT video, and I have also provided with the PDF of the question answers of this chapter. So before I start with the recapitulation, I would recommend you all to go to those explanation to see the question answers of this poem, such that it will be easier for you to see this video lecture or to understand the video lecture, because here I will be mainly concentrating not only on the explanation. Of course, some of the lines I am going to explain, but I am also going to concentrate on the types of questions that are going to come from this particular chapter, okay, or particular poem. So let's start. Far from gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor. Okay, before we start, we know what the poem is about. Just to see the outline of the poem, here the poet has taken a keen interest in politics and declared himself to be a socialist and pacifist. Okay, in this particular poem, he has concentrated on themes of social injustice and class inequalities. Now, through the example of the slum children, the poet attacks those who are exploiting the weaker section of the society. Okay, now this particular poem, when you are going to read this poem, you see the poem is divided into 4 stanzas. Okay, now when you are reading this poem, please read each stanza separately. Now what do I mean by this word? It is meant that each stanza denotes particular what we can say description. Okay, you may write it down. When you are reading this poem, you please write it down. The first stanza, okay, this first stanza describes what? This is the description. Okay, it is the description of something. Okay, the entire poem. Now the first stanza describes what? The slum children. The first stanza describes the slum children. You already know the poem. Okay, so here I am giving you the basic points how you are going to remember this poem. So we here see the first stanza describes the slum children. Okay, now moving on, okay, to the next stanza. The second stanza, okay, which is continuing in the next page also, describes what? The classroom. The second stanza describes what? The slum classroom. Okay, it continues till here. Okay, what it describes? Slum classroom, the classroom where these children are sitting, right? Okay, third stanza, what does the third stanza describes? The third stanza describes the condition of whom? Of the slum, or you can say of the slum people, of the slum children. So the third stanza describes the condition of the slum, right? Okay, and the last stanza, what is the last stanza? It is the rage. It describes the rage, or you can say the anger of the poet. Okay, the fourth stanza describes the rage, the anger, or you also can say the outburst. We can also say that the last stanza describes the outburst of the poet. Okay, now continuing with the poem, let's see from the first stanza. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor. The tall girl with her weighed down head, the paper seeming boy with rat's eyes. Okay. Now in this stanza, what the poet describes are the pathetic and the miserable condition of the children sitting in a classroom in a slum school. Okay. The children's faces are unlike the usual children of schools. They are far away from the beautiful sights of nature. They look weak and hungry. Okay. Their unkempt hair looks like rootless weeds on their pale face. Okay. Now you see here, according to the revised syllabus in your question format, it has been said that MCQ will come. Okay, especially the part A of your question paper is completely based on MCQ. Okay, now now of course one poem extract and one prose extract will come. Okay, now in this poem extract and in this prose extract, what we find is that since MCQ is coming, they will be concentrating on what type of questions. They will be concentrating on questions like who is the author or who is the poet. This is the thing that they will concentrate. Next, when they will be asking MCQ on poem, they are going to ask about the literary devices. What are they going to ask? Literary devices. So when you are reading a poem, please mark out that where in which line what kind of figures of speech or literary devices had been used. Okay, now see here the poet, as I have already told you, these children's faces are compared to what? To rootless weeds. Okay, now how is the comparison done? They have done the poet has done the comparison with the word like. So what literary word or device has been used here? Of course, simile. Very good. Students who are able to give the answer, very good. It is simile. Okay, so the children's faces are like rootless weeds. That means it is a simile comparison. The comparison of the children's face has been done with the weeds, unwanted grass. Okay, the hair torn round their pallor, the tall girl with her weighed down head. Okay, we have already done that. The stunted, unlucky air of twisted bones reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his desk. At back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game in tree room other than this. Okay, now here all the children are being described. Here one tall girl has been described that her head is weighed down. Then one paper seeming boy. Paper seeming boy means a very thin boy, as thin as a paper. Okay, so a paper seeming boy. So here also what is being used? Metaphor has been used. Okay, like the boy has been compared to a paper. Okay, next what is being used? The stunted, unlucky air of twisted bones. Okay, another children condition is being described, where it is said that that particular boy is had inherited. Okay, the what we can say, the boy has inherited the gnarled disease of his father. Okay, so that is another thing. What is the meaning of the term twisted? Twisted means gnarled. Okay, twisted means something, the twisted bones or the gnarled disease. Okay, the twisted bones, the rheumatic disease that the father has, the child has also inherited that one. His lesson from his desk. Okay, at back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young. So at the back of this dim class, the class is not a very bright class. Okay, so at the back of the dim class, there is a boy. Okay, what does the word dim suggest here? Okay, this particular line, this particular word, okay, as it is given here at the back of the dim class. What is the meaning of this dim? What is the word dim signify? Okay, now this question had come in the year 2013 and 2012. What is the question? Write down the question. What is the word dim signify? What is the word dim signify. Okay, so write down what are the words dim signify. Number 1, you write it down please. Classroom is not properly lighted. What does dim signify? Number 1 is classroom is not properly lighted. Number 1. Okay. Then number 2. What does dim signify? Future of the students is bleak. The future of the students or the future of these children is bleak, dim. Okay. Then number 3, helplessness. Okay. So what are the things it describes? First of all, we have seen number 1, light, dim light, not lighted. Number 2, bleak future of the children. Okay. And number 3, helplessness. All these 3 things are denoted in the word dim. I hope I have made you very much clear. This question had come repeatedly, so I have given importance to this question. So please understand the importance. Moreover, this particular paragraph is very much important for extract questions, because we have seen that many a time this paragraph has come, especially this particular line, the tall girl with the weight down head. Okay, this tall girl, this one has come not only in the extract question but also has come in the 2 marks question. So please give importance to this particular stanza. Right? Okay, now let's continue. Second stanza. On sour cream walls, donations. Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome, riding all cities. Belled flowery Tyrolese valley, open-handed map awarding the world its world. And yet, for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, were all their futures painted with a fog, a narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, far, far from rivers. In my PPT video, I have already explained this particular stanza. What is the stanza actually talking about? In this stanza, the poet describes the dirty classroom. Okay, the walls of the classroom are pale and dirty and give a rather unpleasant feeling. Okay, on the walls are displayed the names of people who have given donations. Okay, there is a picture of Shakespeare on the wall. The pictures of domes of big cities represent the quality of life in those cities. The early morning sky is shown as cloudless in another picture. Okay, there is also a picture of the beautiful Tyrolese valley, a region in the Austrian Alpine province, okay, adorned with flowers. Then there is the world map, which divides the world into countries, big and small, symbolically gives the children the whole world. Now, the poet says all these pictures, okay, do you think all these pictures have any meaning to these children? Of course not. These pictures have simply no meaning to these impoverished children. Okay, the world depicted on these walls is not the world of these children. Their world does not contain huge domes or prosperity or the scenic beauty presented in the picture. Unfortunately, their world is painted with what? With fog. Okay, the fog of hopelessness and hunger. The future is grim and uncertain and sealed with a dark and dull sky. Okay, so the poet again says that their world is far away from the actual world of rivers and capes. These things are like stars in the sky which cannot be which they cannot touch. Now these particular things here, their world is what? Their world is a narrow street. Okay, and they have a lead sky, and their world is far, far from river, caves, and stars of words. Now, stars of words in many of the guidebooks or reference book, okay, you will find different kind of meaning. But what CBSE says, if CBSE asks this question, star of word, then what kind of answer would they demand? Okay, please remember, stars of word means education. Stars of word means education. Remember, because in the first line it is said, on sour cream walls, donations. Shakespeare said. Shakespeare represent education, prosperity. Okay, Shakespeare represent education. Now here what happens is that on this particular wall there is a Shakespeare's picture. So what is the use of Shakespeare's picture? So their world is far away from stars or words, means their world is far away from proper education. Okay, so therefore these pictures or these donations have simply no meaning to these children. Now to our most important thing, that what type of questions has come from this particular stanza. Well, you please write it down. Please write down the question. Question number 1 that has come is that meaning of sour cream walls. Meaning of sour cream walls. What is the meaning of sour cream walls? Of course, sour cream walls means the classroom wall was painted long ago. So now the color of the wall has become colorless. It has become very much colorless, very much dim. Okay. Next, question number 2. What is the significance of the Tyrolese Valley? What is the significance of the Tyrolese Valley? Okay, what is the significance of the Tyrolese Valley? You may write down this particular question. Answer of question number 2. Please write it down. Okay, what is the significance of the Tyrolese Valley? Okay, number 1. I'm writing it down here, so please write it down. Number 1, a beautiful place full of flowers. This is point number 1. These points you need to add in your answer. Okay. Number 2, children are unaware of this beauty, right? And number 3, what is number 3? It is in contrast. Contrast to what? It is in contrast to the sad condition of classroom. Contrast to the sad condition of the classrooms. I am repeating again number 3. Please write down the number 3. It is in contrast to sad condition of classroom. Here when I say classroom, of course I mean the children also. When I say classroom, I mean the children also. So what is the significance of the Tyrolese Valley? It is a beautiful place full of flowers. Okay, it is children are unaware of this beauty. Okay, this Tyrolese Valley, they are unaware of the beauty. Okay, and it is in contrast to the condition of to the sad condition of the classroom. So Tyrolese Valley, how many times it has appeared? 2015, 2017. These 2 years this Tyrolese Valley had appeared in your exam, in the board exam. Okay. So we have seen these 2 stanzas. Now we will see few more questions that are coming from these 2 stanzas. Okay. Now see here, from this second stanza also and from the first stanza also some questions are coming. Okay. One question that has come repeatedly, write down the question. The question is, how does the poet describe the classroom walls. How does the poet describe the classroom walls? Okay. How many years this question had come? The question had appeared in 2010, 2009, 2014, 2016. These are the years that this question had come. So how does the poet describe the classroom wall? The poet describes the classroom walls as pale, yellow and dirty. Okay. Donated items have been put up on these walls. All these are in complete contrast to the world of these children. Okay. Next. Very important question. Please write it down. Okay. Awarding the world its world. Open-handed map, awarding the world its world. It has come in extract questions also. It has come in short question type also. Okay, what does the poet want to say by this particular line? Okay, of course these pictures and maps are not useful. Okay, here it is said that the world shown in the map is not their world. Their world is confined to the walls of their classroom and the slum in which they live. Okay, so now this, of course, as a result, what happened? This world, okay, this particular world, the world map, okay, this is a world, and seeing from that window, that the slum area that the children can see, that is their real world. So what is the use of this open-handed map? Okay, because the children cannot access to this open-handed map, cannot access to the map, because that map portrays what, or that map shows what? That map shows only the prosperous city, the prosperous country. Can you find out the slum in that particular map? No, we are unable to find out any slum in that particular map. Okay, so as a result, what happened? This map is completely useless, right? Because their world is not that map. Their world is the slum area which they can see from their classroom, right? Okay, students, we have completed till the second stanza. Okay, in my next video lecture I will start from surely Shakespeare is wicked, which is very extremely important line that I am going to explain also, and I am going to provide with the questions also, what type of questions had come from these particular lines. I hope, students, you have understood whatever I have explained in this video lecture. If there is still any doubt, please clarify your doubts in the classroom. Okay, thank you, students. Study well.